44th session, Unit 5, Electrical Instruments and Measurements. In this session, we will be discussing about the conditions for moving coil galvanometer to be deadbeat and ballastic. The main learning objectives of this 44th session are: first one is to find out the condition for moving coil galvanometer to be ballastic and deadbeat. And second objective will be to compare the ballastic galvanometer and deadbeat galvanometer. In deriving equation 7, that is from 42nd session, the equation 7 gives the relation between Q and theta. It is assumed that whole of the kinetic energy of the coil is used up in twisting the fiber and neglecting the retarding forces present, namely, first one is due to friction of air, second viscosity of suspension fiber, third one is induced current in any neighboring mass or a metal. Then the retarding couple due to damping varies as angular velocity omega is equal to d theta upon dt, and may be taken as omega is equal to p into d theta upon dt, where p is coefficient of mechanical damping. When the circuit is closed, the induced current produced in the coil varies as directly proportional to the rate of change of displacement and inversely proportional to the resistance of the circuit. Hence, the retarding couple is equal to m upon r into d theta upon dt, where m is the magnetic flux due to the magnet and area of the coil. Thus, the total retarding couple due to damping is equal to into bracket p plus m upon r into d theta upon dt. Here the angular acceleration is the rate of change of angular velocity, that is equal to d square theta upon dt square. Hence, according to Newton's second law, equation of motion can be written as I into d square theta upon dt square is equal to minus c theta minus into bracket p plus m upon r into d theta upon dt. Now, transferring all the terms in the above equation onto the left hand side, we get I into d square theta upon dt square plus into bracket p plus m upon r into d theta upon dt plus c theta is equal to 0. Now, dividing the above equation on both sides by I, we get d square theta upon dt square plus 1 upon I into bracket m upon r plus p into d theta upon dt plus c theta upon I is equal to 0. In the previous equation, the second term, that is 1 upon I into bracket m upon r plus p bracket complete, is replaced by 2b, and in the third term c upon I is replaced by k square. Then the expression or the equation will become d square theta upon dt square plus 2b into d theta upon dt plus k square theta is equal to 0. And let this equation be equation number 12, where the values 2b and k square will be the equation number 13 and 14 respectively. Let the solution of this equation be theta is equal to a into e to the power alpha t, so which is nothing but the displacement. So one time differentiation will give the angular velocity and two time differentiation will give the angular acceleration, that is d theta upon dt angular velocity is equal to a into alpha into e to the power alpha t, and angular acceleration d square theta upon dt square is equal to a into alpha square into e to the power alpha t. Substituting the values of d theta upon dt square and d square theta upon dt square in equation 12, we get alpha square plus 2b alpha plus k square is equal to 0, or alpha is equal to minus b plus or minus under root b square minus k square. So here we will have three cases. First, case 1, that is when b greater than k we have two real values of alpha. Then the solution of equation 1 is equal to, that is theta is equal to a1 into e to the power alpha 1t plus a2 into e to the power alpha 2t, where alpha 1 and alpha 2 are negative, and the deflection theta will go on decreasing with time, and the motion is called as non-oscillating or deadbeat, and the oscillation is said to be overdamped. Case 2, that is when b less than k, the two values of alpha are equal to minus b, and the solution of equation 1 becomes theta is equal to open bracket a1 plus a2 close bracket into e to the power minus bt. Here in this case, the coil after detection comes to rest in minimum possible time, and the galvanometer is said to be critically damped, and the motion of the coil is just non-oscillatory. And the case 3, that is when b less than k, the quantity under root b square minus k square is imaginary. So the values of alpha are complex. So thus the condition for galvanometer to be deadbeat is, that is b greater than k, and for the galvanometer to be ballastic it will be b less than k. We shall list few conditions for galvanometer to be ballastic, and we know that the period of oscillation, that is capital T, is equal to 2 pi into under root I upon c, where I is moment of inertia and c is couple per unit rest. The condition for galvanometer to be ballastic, the period of oscillation of the coil must be very large. For T should be large, moment of inertia of the coil should be large, because in this expression T is directly proportional to I. Secondly, the restoring couple per unit twist C of the suspension wire should be small, because T is inversely proportional to C. Second condition, the damping of the galvanometer should be small. For this, the coil should be wound on a non-conducting frame. If it is wound on a conducting frame, then the damping will be large. So it should be wound on a non-conducting frame. The third condition, the air resistance should be small. If there is a air resistance, then it will affect the oscillations. So the air resistance should be maintained very small. Now we shall list some few conditions for galvanometer to be deadbeat. A galvanometer to act as a deadbeat, its time period of oscillation should be small. Then according to that expression, T is directly proportional to I. So if T should be small, then moment of inertia of the coil must also should be small. Secondly, T is inversely proportional to C. So if T should be small, then the restoring couple per unit twist C should be large. The second condition, the damping should be heavy. For this, the coil should be wound on a conducting frame. But in the previous case, it was exactly opposite. To have less damping, it was wound on a non-conducting frame. But here, to have damping heavy, the coil must be wound on a conducting frame. And the third condition, the soft iron core should be placed between the pole pieces of permanent magnet, which increases the electromagnetic damping. So ultimately, to increase the damping, the soft iron core is placed between the pole pieces of the permanent magnet, which helps in increasing the electromagnetic damping. The comparison between ballastic and deadbeat galvanometer. The first comparison, the ballastic galvanometer is commonly used to measure the charge discharged through the ballastic galvanometer. But whereas in the case of deadbeat galvanometer, it is used to measure the current. Second comparison, ballastic galvanometer is also called as mirror galvanometer. Since there is oscillation, to measure the deflection, the mirror is connected to the ballistic galvanometer. Therefore, it is called as mirror galvanometer. But in case of deadbeat galvanometer, when current passes through the galvanometer, it comes to rest. So since there is no oscillation, there is no mirror connected to the deadbeat galvanometer. The third comparison, the ballistic galvanometer has long oscillation period. But whereas in the deadbeat galvanometer, these oscillations are opposed by the eddy current. The fourth comparison, in case of ballistic galvanometer, the moment of inertia is large, but whereas in the case of deadbeat galvanometer, the moment of inertia is small. The next comparison, in case of ballistic galvanometer, to have a small damping, the coil is wound on a non-conducting frame, but whereas in the deadbeat galvanometer, to obtain heavy damping, it is wound on a conducting frame. The next comparison, since the ballistic galvanometer has oscillations, therefore the suspension fiber should be very small or very fine, but whereas in the case of deadbeat galvanometer, the suspension fiber should be comparatively thicker. And the last comparison, in case of ballistic galvanometer, the air resistance should be very small. In case of deadbeat galvanometer, since there is no oscillation, therefore air resistance will not affect the deadbeat galvanometer. So at the end of the presentation, we shall solve some multiple choice questions based on ballistic galvanometer and deadbeat galvanometer. The first question, that is, when B greater than K, the galvanometer is said to be, there are four options. So the right option here is deadbeat. So when B greater than K, then that galvanometer is said to be deadbeat. Question number 2, when B less than K, the galvanometer is said to be, so there are four options. So out of this, the correct answer is ballistic. So ballistic, the condition is B less than K. Question number 3, condition for galvanometer to be ballistic. We have four options. Out of this, second option, that is B, is correct. That is, I should be large. For galvanometer to be ballistic, the moment of inertia, that is I, should be large. So the correct answer is B. Question number 4, the condition for galvanometer to be deadbeat. So we have four options. The correct option is C, that is both A and B. Galvanometer to be deadbeat, the couple per unit twist, that is C, should be large, and the moment of inertia I should be small. So the correct option will be C, that is both A and B are correct. And the content or the material used for the presentation is taken from the book Electricity and Magnetism, written by Dr. K. K. Tiwari.